go, and then I'm going to press pop. Okay. Mary, are you here? Holy Moses. Mary, first I want to ask you, how have you been? Did you just write a U? Mary, did you just write U? Yes. I asked you, Mary. I asked, so how have you been? Because I was curious and I just wanted to sort of start a conversation with you. And, so what does you mean? W E L L. You've been well. I've been pretty well too, Mary. And I'm glad you've been well. So I wanted to start interviewing you more. I know we haven't talked in a while, and I mean, we talked a little while ago, but we haven't really talked where I've asked you lots of questions. And I was thinking about maybe starting up and asking you more and more questions. Is that okay with you? U N S U R E. Mary, I don't want to treat you like a novelty person, but I want to go over some of the things that I've asked you about before, and then like go more into detail about it. Like for example, like the lanterns. You use your eyes to see lanterns, and the lanterns are decorative. Do you remember when we talked about that like 2 years ago? CE. So when you said CE, did you mean yes? Were you speaking another language when you said CE? Like other than English? No. Okay. So, Mary, regarding your lanterns that you use your eyes to see, I was wondering why is it more normal for you to just use your feelings to move around the fifth dimension? Or is it more normal to use your eyes and do things like use your lanterns that you light with your mind? B-O-T-H. Would you say they like work together? Like they complement each other? Would that be an accurate description of how it works with your senses? Like your yes. So Mary, I want to know more about you. I've asked you lots of questions, but I haven't really asked much about you, and I was wondering if that would be okay with you. Is that okay with you? If I ask you questions about you? Okay. So, Mary, you've told me that you've lived 8 lives on Earth before, and I was wanting to learn more about like each life, like your first life. Like when was your first life in Earth history? When was that around? What time? One O O S O F O T A T O N S. Hundreds of rotations. So did you just say hundreds of rotations? Okay, so when we talked before about rotations, you've told me that rotations is like a day. And so hundreds of rotations doesn't seem like that long ago. Um, like I've been alive hundreds of rotations. So it seems like your first life would have been more like hundreds of thousands of rotations or a bigger number like that. Um, what so I'm curious why you chose hundreds to describe it as hundreds of rotations rather than a bigger number. M A N Y. Okay. So you mean many hundreds of rotations. So what was going on in Earth history around the time of your first life? Like what? I guess. First of all, what was your name during your first life? N-O-U. Did you say did you say not allowed? So, why do you think that's kept secret? Your first name you ever had. What would be a reason why you're not allowed to tell me that? You're unsure. Is it that leaders just zapped you and they told you that you can't say that? No. So if leaders aren't what's stopping you from telling me, what is stopping you from telling me? Leader. So leaders stopped you, but they're not zapping you. Is that correct? They stopped you, but they didn't zap you. Did a leader tell you through telepathy that you weren't allowed to tell me? T-O. Did you say, I didn't get that word. It started with a T. Torah inning? I'm very sloppy at writing this down sometimes. Could you spell that out again? T-R-A-I-N-G. So you learned during training um, that you're not to tell your name um, to people you talk to on the Ouija board like you're talking to me. During training, where you train to be a guide. Well, Mary, you once told me that your name was Pandora. So why were you able to tell me that your name on your last life was named Pandora? Why were you able to tell me that, but then you're not able to tell me that it was what it was during your first life? NeverFR. Oh, never the first name. That's interesting. So is the first, there's something special about the first name you ever had that I guess has to do with your soul. I know I'm sort of leading you, but I'm trying to that's what I'm guessing that means. Would you agree that there's something special about the first name you were ever given in your first incarnation? There's something special to do with maybe your identity. Would that be an accurate statement? unsure. So, Mary, I wanted to ask you, since you're my guide, how am I doing on my life path? Am I making good decisions and I'm progressing towards enlightenment? Mary, I'm being sloppy, and I didn't get that. What I wrote was like Osaki Govned, and I know that ain't it because I was being sloppy, and this is going quite fast. Um, so, could you spell out that answer again? R O C K Y G R O. Is that a U? And Rocky. Okay. Am I on rocky ground right now? Am I on rocky ground like right now in my life? Like, is that what you're saying? No. Well, that's good. So what did you mean by rocky ground as an answer to that question? Y O U H A V E R E C E and oh, got it. Okay, and T. So I was recently on rocky ground, but now I'm not anymore. That makes sense. So how many threads am I now giving to Leslie? How many energy threads? One, 4, 5. And how many energy threads is she giving to me? 1, 9, 3, 5. Mary, so have you been, or here's my next question. So what's the climate around where you live? Like, what's the climate like? C-O. Ooh. I got C-O and am E O S A L E. So, Mary, was the first word you said C-O-M-E? Like come? No, I didn't think so. What was the first word you said? I got C-O. Let's see. C? No. I got O. M. E. E. No, that's F. E. O. R. T. A. Is that a B? L. E. For stable? Was the last word you said stable? No. Was the first word O-M-E? No. Could you write that out again, and I'll say each letter as you write it out to make sure. C O M E or F. Come. Oh, I think I know. O R T A B L E. Do you live near the beach or anything like that? You said it's comfortable. What's the climate like other than comfortable? Is it like a beach? No. So you don't live by a beach. Let's see. B R E E Z Y. So it's breezy. Are there a lot of trees? I know you live in a tree. Are there a lot of trees around? No. So it's breezy without trees. Are you the only tree for a while? There's your tree that you live in, and then there's a lot of land around? Is that how it is? Yes. And, is the ground very soil? Is it like a brown dirt soil ground? Or is there grass? A S I C I O S E. Acid cups. I think you may have spelt out a word I've never heard before. Could you spell that out again, and I'll Google it. It's like acid copes. So it's A S I C H O O S E. As I choose. So the grass is as you choose. You get to control the grass with your mind. Is that correct? Whether there's grass or dirt. Would you rather there be grass or dirt around your house? Your tree house? Or, you know what I mean? F E L D. Field. So it sounds like you like a grassy field. Is that correct? Yes. Is it mostly flat land, or is it like is it very hills, or is it like a flat field, or like a hilly field? M O O R or S. Did you say moors? Moors? I didn't get that word. You said, you did say that. Moors. That's what you said? What does moors mean? F I D L D. Field. So, is that more like a flat field, or is it more like a hill field? O T H. Okay. Everything. Mary, are you here? Mary, I have a question or two before I really get started about last time we talked. Um, do you remember when you wrote CE to mean yes during the last time we talked? So my question is why does CE mean yes? And hold on, Mary. Go back to M because I'm sorry. Okay, I got that. And then what? I S T A K E. It was a mistake. Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Um, when you wrote just the letter U to when I asked, how have you been? Was that a mistake too? Yeah. So why did you mean well? Because the answer, I asked how you had been, and you said you, then you said well. So, why did you mean well? StorehouseH or GY. Mary, I didn't get I think I understand what you're saying, but I want to make sure that that sort of you spell it out. But was the first word you wrote, was that storing? Okay, so I don't know what you said at all then, because I was guessing then. Storay. Did you write that? Okay. Could you spell that whole thing out for me again? Stray. Stray. And the second, what was the second? What was the word after stray? E and E R H Y. Okay. Did you write stray energy? So it was stray energy that caused you to say you for well. Was stray energy involved in when you said CE? I think I understand. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you, Mary. And I wanted to ask you a little bit, just one more question about the lanterns. Are the lanterns more for a light source, or are they more for decoration? Because I know they are for both. DECORAN. M O R E S O. Well, that's cool, Mary. That makes me wonder about um, the light. Is there any natural light, a source of natural light in the fifth dimension where you live? Is there any source of natural light in the fifth dimension where you live? Okay. So, what is the source of natural light in where you live in the fifth dimension? What makes that natural light? T H E O and O E A L M I T S E L F. Mary, did you write the? Was the first word you wrote the? What was the second word you wrote? 'Cause I didn't get that one. R E O A L N. The realm itself is what you wrote. Is that correct? So the realm itself is um, it's just not dark. So is there any dark places within the realm, like without light? Yes. Are there any shadows in the fifth dimension? Natural shadows. Now, well, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for answering, Mary. That's really, really interesting to think about. Um, I'll be thinking a lot about that, I'm sure, but between now and the next time we talk. But for now, I want to move on, if it's okay, and ask you more about your name in all your lives. So, in your second life, what was your first name? Your second life on Earth, what was your first name? E? G? Is that an O or an N? N? O? L? A? So I got Egnola. Is that correct? Your first name in your second life was Egnola? No. Could you spell it out again? E? O? O? N? O? L? Was the last letter you spelled an A? So was it Enonola? Was it Enola? So Enola or Enola. Was it Enola or Anola? Both, I guess. So I'll just say that it was both or either or. So Mary, I wanted to ask you, about. So I know you get to place from your thoughts, and distance isn't a factor. But I was wondering, is the measurement of distance at all measured in the fifth dimension? No. Is distance at all measured in the fourth dimension? Is there any space between things in the fifth dimension? If one wanted to measure distance in the fifth dimension, would they be able to? Mary, are you here? Mary, if you were, I have a question. I have questions for you. This one's about the shadows that aren't natural. And I was wondering, if you were outside floating, would you have a shadow for yourself? No. Well, that's interesting. Okay, my next question is about your name, Enola. So I looked up. We have computers here in the third dimension, and I looked up on the computer the name Enola, and I was able to find out that it wasn't a name really until the late 1800s. And my question is, was your second wife alive in the late 1800s? Is that when you as Enola was alive in the 1800s? No. So were was it before then? Was it before the late 1800s? Can you give me like around the year that you were alive during that life? W E D I E O or N or O N O T C O U O T G T H E O. Okay, so was the first word you wrote we? Was the second word you wrote die? No. Okay, what was the second word you wrote? D I D. We and what was the next word? I didn't get that either. Uh, N. So it wasn't N. N O T. We did not count. Did you write? We did not count them. So it was before years at all were even counted that that your second life was alive. Is that true? Was it before 2,000 years ago? Are you familiar with before Christ and after Christ time? A S Y O U K N O W I T. So as I know it. Is it possible for you to estimate in before Christ time when you were alive during your second life? Is it possible for you to know that? I have a question about when you first realized your name was Mary in the fifth dimension. You had told me that the name chose you. And I was wondering, did you mean that it was just what felt right as your name when you got to the fifth dimension? K E A. Is that an E? R S. Oh, okay. C H O S E. So, I wrote K as a first, but I realized that's probably an L. Um, were you saying that leaders chose your name as Mary? Okay. When you were first called Mary by them, did they say, your name is Mary? Or did they just say, hey, Mary? Which one? Was it the former or the latter? R N E R. How many leaders approached you when you were first approached by leaders? How many leaders were there? Two. So there were two leaders there, and they explained to you that your name was Mary. I believe that was the former. Yes. Mary, I'm wondering, like you say you have your tree that you live in, and then there's you live in moorlands where there's moors and fields around you. I was wondering, in all of 5D, are there any roads? I F V E C H O O S E. So that was a W, not a V. You said if we choose. Mary, as technology increases here in the third dimension, there's different things, like before, at one time, there were probably no roads on the third dimension, and then there became roads, I'm guessing because, I'm sorry, then there became roads because people had cars and stuff, and then I'm guessing people would be able to choose to have roads because it's what they like and what they're used to in the fifth dimension. Does that sound about right? Is there any other examples of technology becoming more and more in the third dimension, and then that technology springs up in the fifth dimension? Is there any other examples of that besides roads? S O N E. Could you give me an example of that? Like a very common one. C I T I E S. Oh, interesting. So there are cities, and the cities have buildings? Is that right? Do you know any spirits? Do you have any friends that live in these cities? In those cities? Huh. Do those cities have names? S A N E A S 3D. Same as 3D. So there's, say, like a New York City. There's an exact replica of New York City in the fifth dimension. Is that true? I F B. Is that a D? D. Or is that an E? C H O U D. Or was that an E? Sorry, that was an E. Yes. I didn't get that. Did you say if we choose again? Do multiple spirits have to get together and make that choice before there is an exact replica of a city such as New York City? No. So one spirit could say, I want to live in New York City, and then they have a whole replica of New York City as their home? Can that spirit make people live there? Like people who didn't exist, like um, they could sort of program people into the city that don't. Can that happen? No. So they would live alone in the whole city of New York if they wanted that. Do any spirits make New York City or some other kind of city, and then they other people move in there because they like it? Does that ever happen? Yeah. Are there more than one of the same cities in the fifth dimension? Mary, was Enola a common name when you were named Enola when you were alive in the third dimension? Was that a common name? Mary, did did the name not become did the name become uncommon and then it became just uh uh coincidentally common in the late 1800s? N-O-T-S-U-R-E. Mary, what part of Earth were you alive in during your second life? What like geographically what part of Earth were you? O N E T H A T O O. Is that a K? K O N G E R I S. One that Ukonger is. What? So was the first word you wrote one? Was the second word you wrote that? What was the next word after that? I didn't get that. One that no? I don't understand. What was the word after that? L O N G E R. One that longer was the word longer, and then the last word was is. Is that true? One that no longer is. Is that what you wrote? So the place that you lived, was it on Earth during your second life? What happened to it? Why is it no longer there? G O E G O E. Did you just write G O E? No. What did you just try and write, Mary? G O N E. Yeah, but my question is like, did it sink? Did it sink into the ocean? Did something like that happen? I N or INTPAR T. Did you just write in part? So natural disaster just made it not exist anymore. Mary, I know you have a mate named Icarus. Um, that's like your husband there in the fifth dimension. How many lives did he live before he became a fifth dimensional person? One. He only lived one life before being. Was that Did you meet him during your last life? No. Well, Mary, so you've told me before that one needs to meet their soulmate here on Earth, and then they meet their soulmate, and then they have to meet their soulmate and create bonds with their soulmate before being in the fifth dimension. So how is your mate if that didn't happen for you? D? Was that an H or a G? H. H E W A S A N U N B O R N. He was a nun born? Okay. That's a little confusing. Do you mean he was a nun like a Catholic nun? No. What do you mean by the word? Oh, he was an unborn. I got it. He was an unborn. I understand. So he was aborted, or he wasn't born, and his spirit, he got to go to the fifth dimension because of that. Is that correct? Was he an unborn during um, your last life? Was he an unborn? No. Was he waiting for a long time in the fourth dimension before? Was he waiting for you for a long time? Yes. Wow. Um. Well, that's my last question for tonight, and I want to thank you for talking to me, and we're going to say goodbye now. Is there anything you want to tell me before you say goodbye? Okay. Thank you so much for talking to me, Mary, and we'll talk again soon. Okay. Thank you. You okay?